Unexpected hook. The textbook on film noir sat unopened on Leo's desk, a silent testament to his spectacular failure of will. Sunlight streamed through the window, highlighting dust motes dancing in the air, each one a tiny mockery of his lack of productivity. He glanced at his watch. 3 hours until Professor Davies' essay was due. Panic nibbled at the edges of his resolve, quickly eroding what little was left. He needed a distraction. A big one. His mom's gym, Fit Fusion, beckoned with the promise of sweaty exertion and loud music, anything to drown out the internal monologue berating him. He grabbed his battered gym bag, the one he usually reserved for laundry overflow, and headed out. The gym was a kaleidoscope of grunts, pounding treadmills, and the rhythmic clang of weights. He spotted his mom, a whirlwind of energy in neon spandex, leading a Zumba class near the mirrored wall. He waved, she blew him a kiss, and he retreated to the relative solitude of the boxing ring in the corner. That's where he saw her. Maya Rodriguez. She was working the heavy bag, her brow furrowed in concentration, but there was a stiffness in her movements, a hesitation in her punches. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail, emphasizing the sharp angles of her face. She landed a weak jab, then swore under her breath. He leaned against the ropes, watching. He'd only taken a few boxing classes himself, a misguided attempt to impress a girl who turned out to be far more interested in his roommate's motorcycle, but he remembered a thing or two. Mostly how much his knuckles hurt. Maya threw another punch, this one glancing off the bag with a dull thud. She stopped, frustration etched on her face. She didn't look up to see him, still consumed by her practice. He cleared his throat. You're telegraphing your punches. She whirled around, her eyes narrowing. Excuse me. Leo shrugged, trying for nonchalance. Your shoulder moves before your fist. Anyone with half a brain could see it coming. He winced inwardly. Smooth, Leo, real smooth. Her expression didn't soften. And you're an expert, I presume? Not an expert, he admitted. But I've spent some time throwing punches at things. And sometimes, those things punched back. He grinned, hoping to disarm her. It wasn't pretty. She crossed her arms, a skeptical look on her face. So, you're offering unsolicited advice based on limited experience? He pushed off the ropes and stepped closer, the scent of sweat and leather filling the air. Look, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I remember struggling with the same thing. It's all about the core. Generating power from your legs, not just your arms. He shadowboxed a few times, demonstrating the proper form, exaggerating the hip rotation. He hoped he looked less ridiculous than he felt. Maya watched him, her expression unreadable. After a moment, she said, "Show me." The request hung in the air. Leo felt a surge of something akin to excitement, mixed with a healthy dose of apprehension. He hadn't intended to get this involved. He was supposed to be hiding from his film studies, not offering boxing tips to intimidatingly attractive women. He took a deep breath. Okay, he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. Let's start with your stance. Offering a hand. The rhythmic thud of Maya's fists against the heavy bag was starting to grate on Leo's nerves. Not because it was loud, but because it sounded wrong. Like a deflated balloon animal protesting its demise. He'd been working on the elliptical for a solid 20 minutes, which translated to 10 minutes of actual exercise and 10 minutes of surreptitiously watching Maya. She was giving it her all, her brow furrowed in concentration, but her punches looked awkward, almost desperate. Boredom, coupled with a sudden surge of something that might have been actual altruism, propelled him off the machine. He grabbed a towel, wiping his brow even though he wasn't really sweating, and strolled over to the ring. Rough day? He asked, leaning against the ropes. Maya jumped, startled. She hadn't noticed him. A strand of dark hair clung to her forehead, plastered there by perspiration. Didn't see you there, she said, her voice a little breathy. She ignored his question, resuming her assault on the bag, but her rhythm was even more off-kilter now. Leo winced. Mind if I offer some unsolicited advice? She stopped again, her expression wary. Are you a boxing coach now, Maxwell? He chuckled, holding up his hands. Hardly. But I dabbled a bit in high school. And, well, it looks like you're fighting the bag more than you're hitting it. He pointed to her stance. Your feet are too close together, you're telegraphing your punches a mile away, and you're throwing your whole body into each swing. You'll gas out in 5 minutes. Maya crossed her arms, a skeptical glint in her eye. Says the guy who looks like he hasn't thrown a punch since puberty. Leo grinned, unoffended. True. But I remember the basics. Look, no pressure. Just trying to be helpful. He shrugged, turning to leave. Forget I said anything. He hadn't taken more than 2 steps when she spoke. All right, fine. What do you suggest? He turned back, a flicker of surprise on his face. He hadn't actually expected her to take him up on it. Okay, he said, stepping through the ropes. First, stance. Feet shoulder-width apart, one foot slightly ahead of the other. Keeps you balanced. He demonstrated, bouncing lightly on the balls of his feet. Like this. Now you. Maya hesitated, then mimicked his stance. She looked uncomfortable, like she was about to fall over. Better, Leo said, although it wasn't. Now, keep your elbows in, protect your ribs. Imagine you're holding oranges under your armpits. She frowned. Oranges. Yeah, oranges. Whatever works. The point is, don't leave yourself open. He gently adjusted her arm position. There. See. Tighter. Now, try a jab. She threw a hesitant punch, her fist barely connecting with the bag. No, no, no. Leo exclaimed, stepping closer. He gently grasped her wrist, guiding her arm through the motion. Use your hips, rotate your shoulder. Snap it out, then pull it back. Like you're flicking water off your fingers. He released her wrist, stepping back. Try it again. This time, the punch was faster, more focused. It still wasn't perfect, but it was a definite improvement. Maya's eyes widened slightly. See? Leo said, a genuine smile spreading across his face. A little tweaking, and you're already a contender. Finding the rhythm. The ring ropes, taut and unfamiliar, pressed into Leo's palms. A hummingbird's frantic beat pulsed beneath his skin as he shifted his weight. Across from him, Maya's stance was a study in controlled tension, her jaw a hard line. The silence hung heavy, a palpable thing. So, Leo began, his voice betraying a tremor. Gloves? I guess. A curt nod was her only reply, her focus trained somewhere beyond him. The rip of Velcro echoed as she secured her gloves, a gesture bordering on aggression. Leo followed suit, the well-worn leather carrying the ghosts of past workouts, a faint perfume battling the tang of sweat, a testament to Mrs. Petrov's valiant attempts at masking the gym's true aroma. Right, Maya finally said, her eyes meeting his. Jab. Front hand. Extend, retract. Guard up. He mimicked the motion, but his arm felt like a foreign appendage. Watching her demonstration, a ballet of efficiency, only amplified his awkwardness. He threw another, a movement still laced with clumsiness. Relax, she urged, her tone gentler now. Too tight. Ease your shoulders. Easier advised than executed, Leo mused, but he complied. He rolled his shoulders, flexed his fingers, inhaled deeply. He pictured aiming the punch at an exceptionally irritating cold collar. An improvement, this time. Better, Maya conceded. Now, think about hip rotation, engaging your core. They dissected the jab, drilling it into muscle memory. Leo concentrated, absorbing her pointers, feeling the subtle burn in his deltoid, the soft thud of the glove hitting the heavy bag she braced against. Gradually, the initial stiffness softened, replaced by a shared concentration on the mechanics. He began to anticipate her adjustments, refining his stance, feeling the movement coalesce into a rhythm. Details sharpened into focus, the sheen of perspiration on Maya's brow, the fierce determination hardening her features, the nearly imperceptible shift in her balance as she absorbed the force of his punches. An untamed intensity radiated from her, both daunting and arresting. "Okay, cross now," Maya broke the silence. "Rear hand. Rotate through the hips, pivot the foot. Power originates in the ground." He launched the punch, relishing the solid impact of glove on leather. It felt right. Powerful, even. Another followed, then another, each a fraction stronger, a shade more fluid. "Not bad, Maxwell," a ghost of a smile touched her lips. "Not bad at all." Her words sparked a surge of adrenaline. He threw another cross, accompanied by a grin. A flicker of surprise crossed her face, quickly followed by something akin to amusement. "All right, showboat," she countered, the earlier edge gone from her voice. "Let's see the combo. Jab, cross. Keep that guard up." He drilled the sequence, jab, cross, a growing rhythm building, power surging through him. Perfection remained distant, but progress was undeniable. And for the first time in a long while, Leo felt a stirring of something unexpected, genuine engagement. Perhaps Maya did too. Her gaze softened, her instructions less clipped. A lighter atmosphere bloomed, a sense of mutual achievement transcending the simple act of punching. He wasn't merely imitating anymore. He was finding the beat. Accidental spark. Leo circled Maya, hands loosely guarding his face, a playful grin plastered across it. "All right, champ, show me what you've got. Remember, light sparring. We're not trying to knock each other into next week." Maya's brow furrowed in concentration. She felt awkward, her movements stilted. Her punches felt telegraphed, obvious. She threw a jab, aiming for his shoulder, but he easily sidestepped it. "Relax," he coached, his voice gentle. "Breathe. It's like dancing, but with more violence." She tried to loosen up, picturing the rhythm of a salsa, the way her hips swayed, the feeling of her feet gliding across the floor. She threw another jab, this time faster, but still wide of the mark. Frustration gnawed at her. She knew what she should be doing, but her body refused to cooperate. Okay, Leo said, backing away a little. "Let's try something else. Think about your core. Power comes from your center, not just your arms." He demonstrated, rotating his torso as he threw a punch, the movement fluid and powerful. Maya mimicked him, but her hips felt stiff, her punch weak. She tried again, focusing on the rotation, putting all her effort into it. And that's when it happened. Instead of connecting with his shoulder, her fist slammed into his jaw. The sound was a sharp, sickening crack. Leo stumbled back, his hand flying to his face, his eyes wide with surprise. For a split second, everything went silent. Maya's heart leaped into her throat. "Leo! Oh my God, I am so sorry." She rushed towards him, her face a mask of panic. "Are you okay?" "I didn't mean to," he lowered his hand, revealing a rapidly reddening jaw. But instead of anger, or pain, a slow smile spread across his face. Then, he started to laugh. "Wow," he chuckled, shaking his head. "You pack a serious punch, Maya Rodriguez. I think you almost knocked my teeth out." His laughter was infectious, and despite her guilt and worry, Maya couldn't help but smile too. "I told you, I'm a menace." "A beautiful menace," he corrected, wincing slightly as he touched his jaw again. "But seriously, maybe we should stick to shadow boxing for now. My face can only take so much." The tension that had been building between them dissolved in the shared laughter. Standing close to him, she could smell the faint scent of his cologne, a spicy, woody aroma that tickled her senses. For the first time since she'd met him, she felt a genuine lightness, a connection that went beyond the awkwardness of their age difference, beyond the strangeness of their training sessions. He looked at her, his eyes crinkling at the corners, and for a brief, electric moment, the air crackled between them. It wasn't just the accidental punch, it was something more. A spark. Unexpected, maybe a little dangerous, but undeniably there. He grinned, a touch lopsided now, and said, "Ice pack. Definitely need an ice pack. Beyond the ring. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6. Saturdays at 10. Leo asked, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. The gym was nearly empty now, the harsh fluorescent lights reflecting off the polished floor. Maya nodded, meticulously rewrapping her hands. "Works for me. Unless you're already booked solid with important business." She raised an eyebrow, a hint of playful skepticism in her voice. Leo chuckled, leaning against the ropes of the ring. "Important business usually involves deciding between pizza and tacos. Nothing I can't reschedule." He paused, then added, "Seriously though, this is good. I need the structure." Structure. Maya thought about that word as she packed her gym bag. It was something she craved. Something she was actively trying to build into her life, brick by slow, painstaking brick. "Me too." And, she glanced up, a small smile playing on her lips, "I'm tired of punching the heavy bag. It doesn't give feedback." Their sessions quickly fell into a rhythm. Warm-ups, drills, sparring. Leo, despite his earlier reluctance, proved to be a patient and surprisingly insightful teacher. He broke down each movement, offering small adjustments that made a world of difference. Maya, in turn, was a diligent student, absorbing his instructions and pushing herself to improve. Between rounds, catching their breath, the conversation started to drift beyond jabs and footwork. "So," Leo said one Tuesday, after Maya had successfully executed a slip and counterpunch combination, "what do you actually do when you're not pummeling inanimate objects?" Maya straightened her gloves, considering. "I work at the library. Cataloging books. Very exciting stuff." "No way. You're a librarian. I always pictured you as, like, a race car driver. Or a secret agent." He grinned, and Maya couldn't help but laugh. "Secret agent on a very limited budget. I mostly just shush people and reshelve overdue romances." Another Saturday, after a particularly grueling sparring session, Leo brought 2 bottles of water. "Seriously, your left hook's getting scary good," he said, handing her one. "So, library, huh? What's your favorite book?" Maya took a long swig of water. That's like asking a parent to pick their favorite child. "But, if I had to choose, probably 100 Years of Solitude." Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Leo blinked. "Wow. That's intense. I'm more of a graphic novel kind of guy. Batman's my spirit animal." Maya laughed. "I can see that." As the weeks passed, the small details of their lives began to fill in the gaps. Maya learned that Leo was a freelance web designer, perpetually chasing deadlines and surviving on caffeine. He learned that Maya lived in a small apartment above a bakery, that she spoke fluent Spanish, and that she was fiercely independent. One evening, after a particularly intense workout, Maya noticed Leo seemed distracted. He kept glancing at his phone, his brow furrowed. "Everything okay?" she asked, as they were gathering their things. He hesitated, then sighed. "Just, family stuff. My sister's having some problems. Nothing I can fix, unfortunately." He forced a smile. "Anyway, enough about my drama. Ready to hit the showers?" Maya watched him walk away, a flicker of concern in her eyes. There was a vulnerability there, beneath the easy charm, that she hadn't seen before. It was a reminder that Leo, like everyone else, carried his own burdens beyond the ring. Whispers and disapproval. The low hum of the gym was punctuated by Maya's grunts and the rhythmic thwack of her gloves against the heavy bag. Leo stood close, adjusting her stance, his hand a light pressure against the small of her back. He chuckled, a low rumble that vibrated against her ear. "See? You're tightening up. Relax your shoulders. Let it flow." Across the room, Brenda, perched on the edge of a weight bench, nudged Maria with her elbow. Maria, meticulously wiping down a dumbbell, glanced over. "Look at those two. Thick as thieves all of a sudden." Brenda snorted. "Thieves of each other's time, maybe. He's supposed to be training for regionals, not, whatever that is." A few other heads turned, drawn by the hushed tones. Whispers rippled through the gym like a draft under a door. Leo, oblivious, was too focused on Maya's progress, the way her brow furrowed in concentration, the faint sheen of sweat on her skin. Susan had come to the gym specifically to talk to Maya about a new recipe she'd found. She spotted them near the heavy bags, Leo's hand still lingering on Maya's back. Her smile faltered, replaced by a tight, disapproving line around her mouth. The clanging of weights seemed to amplify, a discordant soundtrack to the scene unfolding before her. She marched over, her pace quickening with each step. "Leo," she said, her voice sharper than intended. Leo jumped, startled. He hadn't seen her. "Mom! What are you doing here?" Maya straightened, pulling off her gloves. "Susan. Hi. Just getting some pointers from Leo." Susan's gaze flicked between them, lingering on the lingering warmth in Maya's eyes when she looked at Leo. "I can see that. Leo, can I have a word with you? Privately." He knew that tone. Trouble was brewing. "Sure, Mom. Maya, I'll be right back." He followed his mother toward the water fountain, his stomach twisting with a premonition of what was to come. Susan didn't mince words. "What exactly is going on between you and Maya?" Leo feigned innocence. "Going on? We're just training, Mom. She wants to learn to box." "Don't play coy with me, Leo. I saw the way you were, touching her. And the way she was looking at you." Susan's voice dropped to a near whisper, tinged with a mixture of concern and anger. "She's my friend, Leo. And she's older. This isn't appropriate." He bristled. "Older? She's 40, Mom, not ancient. And what's inappropriate about helping a friend? It's inappropriate because you're leading her on. You flit from girl to girl, Leo, you know how you are. Maya deserves better than that. She deserves someone who's going to be serious. Someone who's going to commit." Susan's voice cracked slightly. "Don't hurt her, Leo. Please." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling inside him. "I'm not trying to hurt anyone, Mom. And maybe you're the one who's reading too much into this." But even as he said the words, a seed of doubt took root. Was he? He looked back towards Maya, who was now talking to Brenda, her expression unreadable. The gym seemed suddenly smaller, the whispers louder, the weight of his mother's disapproval heavy on his shoulders. Conflicted feelings. Maya's jab felt sluggish, her feet heavy. She missed Leo's mitt by a mile. Another groan escaped her lips. "Focus, Maya. You're telegraphing your punches like you're sending smoke signals," Coach Ramirez barked from his corner. He was right, of course, but his criticism felt especially sharp today. "Sorry, Coach," she mumbled, wiping sweat from her brow with the back of her glove. The gym air was thick with the smell of old leather and exertion, usually a comforting aroma, but today it felt suffocating. She glanced towards the bench where Leo was fiddling with his phone, a smirk playing on his lips. He caught her eye and winked. A flush crept up her neck, hot and unwelcome. This was exactly the problem. Okay, let's try that again, Coach Ramirez said, his voice softening slightly. Leo, give her some easier targets. Easier targets. That was rich. Leo was the reason she couldn't hit anything, the reason her stomach did somersaults every time he got within 5 feet of her. The reason she was seriously considering inventing a sudden, debilitating allergy to boxing gloves. Susan would kill her if she knew what was going on in Maya's head. The image of Susan's disapproving frown flashed before her eyes. Susan, who had practically adopted her, who treated her like a younger sister, who would never, ever understand these feelings. These traitorous, confusing, exhilarating feelings. You okay, Maya? You seem a little distracted, Leo said, his voice laced with amusement as he held up the mitts. He'd moved closer, and his aftershave, a subtle hint of sandalwood, filled her nostrils. Fine, she snapped, perhaps a little too sharply. She braced herself, trying to channel her frustration into the punch. Still, it lacked power, lacking conviction. Coach Ramirez leaned against the ropes, his arms crossed, a knowing glint in his eyes. He'd seen it all before, no doubt. Young love, unrequited love, complicated love. He was probably placing bets on how long it would take for Maya to either confess her feelings or implode. All right, that's enough for today, Coach announced, clapping his hands together. Maya, you need to work on your footwork. Leo, maybe try giving her some actual pointers instead of just looking pretty. Leo chuckled, but Maya just wanted to disappear. She ripped off her gloves, the Velcro screaming in the sudden silence. I think I'm going to skip next week's session, Coach. I have a thing. A thing? Coach Ramirez raised an eyebrow. Is this thing going to help you improve your left hook? Probably not, Maya admitted, avoiding his gaze. Suit yourself, he said, shrugging. But remember, avoiding the problem doesn't make it go away. Sometimes, you just gotta step into the ring and face it. As she walked away, she heard Leo say something to Coach Ramirez, and then they both laughed. She didn't want to know what they were laughing about. She just wanted to go home, crawl under the covers, and pretend that Leo Maxwell didn't exist. But she knew, deep down, that running away wouldn't solve anything. Truth in the ring. The canvas smelled of sweat and old leather. Maya circled, throwing jabs that lacked snap. Her face was tight, brow furrowed as she shadowboxed, her movements jerky and frustrated. The gym was empty save for them, the echoing silence amplifying the thump of her gloves against the heavy bag. Leo leaned against the ropes, watching her, his usual grin absent. You're thinking too much, he finally said, pushing off the ropes. You're trying to force it. Just feel it. She stopped, breathing heavily, and glared at him. Easy for you to say, Mr. Natural Talent. Some of us have to actually work at it. He stepped into the ring, the ropes creaking under his weight. He moved with a casual grace, a stark contrast to her rigid stance. Okay, show me what's going on in that head of yours. She sighed and resumed her jabs, each one a little weaker than the last. He caught her wrist, his touch sending a jolt through her. He held her hand gently, turning it over, examining her knuckles. You're worried about what people think, he said quietly, his gaze meeting hers. Your mom, your friends, maybe even me. Her eyes flickered away, betraying her unease. She tried to pull her hand away, but he held firm. Maya, he started, his voice softer now, I need to tell you something. He took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of canvas and anticipation. I'm completely, utterly, ridiculously in love with you. The words hung in the air, heavier than the punching bag. Maya's mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. He continued, his voice gaining strength. I know, it's probably the last thing you wanted to hear. A 20-year-old slacker falling for his mom's friend. It's a cliché. It's messy. But it's true. He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit. And you know what? He said, stepping closer. I don't care. I don't care what anyone else thinks. Your mom can disapprove, your friends can gossip, hell, the whole damn town can judge us. But none of that matters if you feel something too. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs gently stroking her cheekbones. Her skin was warm beneath his touch. Don't let their opinions dictate your life, Maya. Don't let them box you in. You're strong, you're independent, and you deserve to be happy. Follow your heart, not their expectations. He searched her eyes, his own filled with a vulnerability she hadn't seen before. Just tell me there's something there. Anything. The fluorescent lights hummed above them, the only sound in the silent gym. A leap of faith. The heavy bag swung erratically, a testament to Maya's unfocused frustration. Sweat plastered strands of her dark hair to her forehead, and her breathing came in ragged gasps. Leo leaned against the ropes, watching her with a concerned frown. You're telegraphing every move, he said gently. You're thinking too much. She stopped, dropping her arms to her sides. Easy for you to say. You're not the one who feels like she's punching through molasses. He pushed off the ropes and stepped closer. What's going on, Maya? You've been off all week. She avoided his gaze, focusing instead on the scuffed canvas of the ring. It's complicated. Is it about? He trailed off, his eyes searching hers. She took a deep breath. The scent of sweat and leather filled her nostrils. Maybe. A little. A little. He raised an eyebrow, a playful smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. That's not exactly a resounding denial. She finally met his eyes, the playful glint in his mirroring the nervous flutter in her stomach. Okay, fine. It's about you. His smirk faded, replaced by an expression of genuine surprise. Me? Yes, you, Leo. Your stupid jokes, your infuriating lack of focus, the way you, she hesitated, the way you make me laugh. She looked down again, suddenly feeling vulnerable. I like you. More than I probably should. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, punctuated only by the rhythmic thump of another boxer on a nearby bag. Leo reached out, gently tilting her chin up so she was forced to look at him. His eyes were warm, a soft light flickering within them. Maya, he said, his voice barely a whisper. I like you too. A lot. The confession hung in the air, a fragile thing. She'd admitted it, spoken the words aloud, and the world hadn't ended. In fact, it felt lighter. He leaned closer, his gaze locked on hers. She could feel the heat radiating from his body, the anticipation building with each passing second. Then, he closed the distance between them. His lips were soft, tentative at first, then deepening into a kiss that stole her breath away. It was a kiss filled with pent-up emotion, a desperate need to connect, to explore the uncharted territory that lay before them. The world around them seemed to fade away, the sounds of the gym dissolving into a distant hum. When they finally broke apart, breathless and slightly dazed, the air crackled with unspoken questions. So, Leo said, running a hand through his already disheveled hair. What do we do now? Maya took a step back, needing a little space to think. I don't know. This is new. And probably a terrible idea. Probably, he agreed, but his eyes held a hopeful glint. But, maybe a terrible idea worth exploring? She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the genuine vulnerability beneath the charming facade. He was scared too. But he was willing. Okay, she said, a small smile playing on her lips. Let's explore. He grinned, a wide, infectious grin that made her heart skip a beat. Just, promise me we'll take it slow. I'm not exactly known for my commitment skills. She laughed, the sound echoing in the suddenly quiet space between them. No promises. But I'm willing to risk it. The heavy bag swung gently, almost as if it were nodding in agreement. They had no idea what the future held, what challenges lay ahead. But in that moment, standing in the middle of the boxing ring, surrounded by the scent of sweat and leather, they were ready to take a leap of faith.